Okay.
Movie rules.
Destin.
Yeah.
It does.
Man, I love it when new IPs are created, Ryan.
Don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Isn't it really great when because we always whine about how many sequels there are all
That's
the time?
right.
Well, your favorite company, Bioware, makers of your favorite game ever, Mass Effect.
Is it really your favorite game ever?
Ooh, I haven't even thought about that. It's probably up there. Yeah,
That's
probably
your
in my
Desert
top
Island
5.
game, right?
Mass Effect, I don't know. That's a tough question, Ryan.
Anyway,
Yeah.
It is. We're just going to move on.
No, my desert island game is Destiny because I can tell my climates, I'm on a desert island. Please help me.
I have an incredible Wi-Fi signal.
Let's
So-
do this raid first.
EA had their fiscal end of their fiscal year conference call, and they made a distinct point to get on there and start hyping up a new game, and that is a new IP, as yet unnamed publicly, from BioWare.
Right.
Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, saying, at the end of the fiscal year, our BioWare studio, the call wasn't the end of the fiscal year call. It was just whatever the last quarter was. They're at the end of their fiscal year is March. So, in other words, by March 2018, our BioWare studio will be delivering an all-new IP, a clean sheet design with new concepts, new gameplay mechanics, and new stories set in a unique new universe. This game has the potential to fundamentally disrupt the way people think about an action title, emphasis mine there, bringing friends together to play in exhilarating new ways. We're very excited about the future of this new franchise and its ability to attract a large global audience. Real quick, before we start our conversation, Aaron Flynn, the studio head at BioWare, saying, quote, we're creating a unique IP that will bring players together in new, exciting new ways. There's much more to say in the coming months, but for now, I wanted to offer this additional background. In 2012, we began crafting a new universe full of new characters, stories, and gameplay. Our ambition is simple. Draw upon 20-plus years of development knowledge and lessons to create something fun and new for you to enjoy with your friends. There's nothing quite as exciting as building a new IP from scratch, and it will be even more thrilling for us to share more with you in the future.
So when was Destiny revealed? Shared world shooter, bringing people together worldwide.
I was there. That was 2013, early February. In fact, yeah, it was 4 years ago this month.
Technically, it was revealed when we wrote the news story.
Yeah.
Well, besides
That's what I was
Technically,
saying,
we
it was
revealed
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only our first, but we also broke the story of the Destiny reveal.
They left the documents at a Panera Bread.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So, guys, what do we think this is? We have a couple of distinct clues dropped here.
Yeah.
And
I was
Wars.
going somewhere.
when are we going to see it?
Star Wars.
No, it's not new IP.
You guys were saying
A lot of the Twitter
He
comments.
said he was going to do this.
Yeah, we're KOTOR 3?
New IP.
not
no.
a new IP.
No.
We did see some scenes though.
They have the Old Republic down in BioWare Austin that continues to go, so that we're probably not going to get a KOTOR 3.
I mean, everything. This sounds very Destiny,
Doesn't it? I
So
agree
I think
completely.
this is going to be a multiplayer action RPG.
I would love to see that because I had hopes for Destiny being because along with the promise of what the new consoles were going to be, which is like a more PC-like architecture, I thought we'd see more games akin to World of Warcraft or Diablo, where you don't really see straight up sequels as much as you see iterations and refinements to games as part of patches, and then that game just becomes a platform. Destiny really is the first one, and I think
They almost got it right.
yeah, I mean it's just not quite deep enough. If you can actually do it right and create something like that, like there was never a World of Warcraft 2, for instance, but each one of those expansions was a totally different game with all new sorts of mechanics and things to do. If you could replicate that experience on consoles, I think you'd be even more successful than Destiny inarguably is.
Well,
People play that game for thousands of
Well,
hours.
and like EA doesn't have something like that in their portfolio.
True.
And everybody
Very
wants the
FIFA.
Destiny now. I mean, look at Ubisoft rolled out the
The
Division.
Division. Yeah.
Sports games.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, BioWare is going to get the story part right, and that was one of the areas lacking in Destiny.
Yeah.
And Destiny really nailed the gameplay, but the story's been a little so-so. BioWare is going to nail that, however they decide to implement it. It's their most important aspect.
I would love to see this be, if it is a Destiny game, as we all seem to be in agreement on. Destiny is very much an action game with some pretty light RPG elements. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
I would love to see this game be the opposite of that and be more of a role-playing game with lighter action elements.
It has to be in depth, right? Like the RPG elements, but it also has to be accessible, and that's what Destiny tried to meet. But yeah, it's not very deep. You
I mean,
can't go.
they
very
don't.
deep.
None of them said the word RPG.
That's true.
They said action.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
so
me
maybe
think.
something more akin to Jade Empire, which was I think the most actiony
Mhm.
Bioware game.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
I mean, RPG mechanics, like, well, I was gonna make what I now realize was an outlandish statement, but
Don't do that then.
yeah. I think you need to strike a really good balance between RPG mechanics and action mechanics in order to have gameplay that's interesting enough to sustain it for longer than a year.
Yeah, the Division tried to
Right.
go a little more heavy on the RPG side too, and to some extent it was successful in that.
It was good in that respect, but
like, if you take a
nothing
look
was
at-
unique about the gear really. You
Right.
could get good guns, but gloves were literally just called gloves.
So like
So-
in Destiny, so to look at Destiny as an example, what makes Destiny so fun to play and the reason so many people play it for so long is because what you're doing to accomplish or to achieve and to accomplish things in the game and attain new gear is super, super fun at its core. Running, shooting, and jumping are just like the greatest things in Destiny. It feels great. So I don't know that you can probably make a RPG heavy game with lighter action mechanics do that, but I think you're going to have to go pretty heavy into the action.
There will definitely be a progression system. What that is for a Bioware product is going to be a lot different. I was playing Mass Effect 3 last night, and if you look at what they were
You
able
were
to
playing
do-
Mass Effect?
Yeah, big surprise. But I was playing the multiplayer, and we know a lot of the design of the new games were kind of inspired by that and how much people actually played Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. So they were able to get that really right, which gives me a lot of hope for any new IP that's going to be worldwide.
And I was just going to bring that up too. Like I would suspect when I say heavier on RPG, lighter on action, I don't mean there won't be much action, but I guess I just mean a little heavier emphasis on RPG because look at the little bit we've seen on Mass Effect Andromeda with just mobile cover and the jetpack. Like I think that's the kind of action that we can probably that's the baseline level we can expect for whatever this new IP
Not
is.
saying that it's like sci-fi or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, that was the last point I wanted to bring up on this was this made me think back to E3 from a couple of years ago. Remember that really weird EA E3 conference where they showed a whole bunch of sort of behind the scenes, this is stuff we're working on trailers and games that had no names. So there
That was the first time they showed the Criterion.
the GoPro, the video game,
The game that's never coming out.
that never was coming out. But there was also
I was at that conference.
there was a BioWare trailer that before Andromeda was officially announced showed some prototype footage of what would become Mass Effect Andromeda. And then in the second half of the trailer, which we all watched before we got on the air here to remind us, there was, and our Edmonton studio, because of course Andromeda's being done out of Montreal. So the Edmonton studio, which was the one responsible for the Mass Effect trilogy, as well as they do Dragon Age out of there. So Edmonton is working on this new IP that was being led by Casey Hudson. Casey Hudson has since left and is now sort of working behind the scenes at Microsoft. But there was a little bit of environment prototype footage of that in this video, and so I wonder if it's the same thing. It showed very seasonal, just outdoor time lapse stuff, fairly realistic, not immediately sci-fi looking nature scenes.
It looks like it could have been on Earth.
Yeah, could have. Yeah.
It definitely looked like that. So I do wonder if whatever this game that's coming out by March of 2018 is, if it's that project, or if Casey Hudson's departure forced if that ended up necessitating a reboot or serious.
Or if this is
changes.
what the canceled Shadow Realms ended up becoming.
That was out of Austin, though.
Was out of Austin.
Yeah, that was happening from in the
Also,
Austin studio.
never. I would never say never, right? But like what we saw of Shadow Realms appears to be very, very different.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
glad they canceled that game.
well. It was more of a 4v1 in that very brief window with Evolve and
We saw it
a
at
couple other
Gamescom
things. Yeah,
briefly.
Fable Legends,
Yeah.
where
You could play it at Gamescom.
yeah.
I
Notice that-
remember being very surprised because I was at that Gamescom and I remember I can't remember who was there playing the game, but like I remember being surprised that was a BioWare game.
Yeah.
because it did not feel or look like
Well,
one.
wasn't it sort of meant to be a bit more of almost like a D&D module
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think
thing?
so, yeah.
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 That was
or like a weird twist on I mean, because this was kind of like at the beginning of the rise of MOBAs.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah,
more
maybe.
MOBA
True. It's funny.
oriented.
There are 3 major 4v1 multiplayer games that come to mind: Evolve, Shadow Realms, and Fable Legends.
I didn't go.
2 of them got canceled, and the other one
Had support for it.
did not
It's
fare
gone.
well.
It's dead now. Yeah.
I don't think we'll be seeing any more 4v1 games, but that is neither.
This is also
here nor
interesting
there.
that they say that we're going to have it by the end of the fiscal year, which is March 31st, 2018. So I don't know if this is going to be a fall game or sort of in the
Possible.
same window as Mass Effect.
E3
next year.
reveal. Yeah.